Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the show where we talk about the relevance of God's word in our lives, and we also share testimonies and our life stories and just give God the glory. Now, as you can see today, I'm in a different kind of background, but nevertheless a beautiful one. Thanks to our guest today, who I will introduce just now. But before that, I just want to say, please could you watch this video till the end? Remember to like, to comment, to share. And if you want to be part of the family, remember to hit that subscribe button. Now today I'm going to do my introduction of my guest in a bit of a different way. Her name is Maureen Ngwenya. Thank you for joining us, Maureen.
Thank you, Tsungi. Thank you for having me.
She's such a busy woman. I am so honored to have her. Do you know that she literally drove in from Chinwe just, I think, less than 2 hours ago. So she's really sacrificed to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tsungi.
So what I wanted to say is that she, amongst many things, and she will be telling us as the interview progresses, she has written 2 books. The first one is called Best Before, A Guide to a Successful Marriage. And then she's written another one called My Seasons of Life, Love, Loss, Healing, and Hope. So I will make sure to put her details at the end for you to contact her about these books and many other things as you will be seeing just now. So now over to my guests, and she can maybe tell us a bit more about herself, and then we will move into her story. Please go ahead, Maureen.
Thank you, Tsungi. Thank you for having me once again. Hello, viewers. I hope I find you well. My name is Maureen Ngwenya. I'm a mother of 4 beautiful girls. I recently became a mother-in-law. My first daughter got married. I think I thank God for that. That's why I wanted it to come out first. But I'm also many other things. I work with widows. I advocate for widows. We are in a group called Circle of Comfort, which is a non-denominational support group of widows. And there are more than 2,000 of them worldwide.
Wow.
Yes, our biggest chapter is here in Harare, Zimbabwe. We have so many other chapters in other towns, but our biggest number is here in Harare, which is a group that was started during COVID. It started during COVID, and it has been growing every single day because a widow is born every day. And we thank God for giving us that platform, for creating a safe space for widows to come and express themselves, support each other, be empowered to live without their significant other. I am an evangelist. I'm a preacher, if you like. I love the Lord. I'm an author. I'm a talk show host of a program called Everyone Has a Story, which is a program previously known as Woman to Woman. For the past 3, close to 4 years now, we've been running that show on a platform called Mandara platform. And it was premised on the stories of widows, but it's now gone everywhere. It's now everyone's story. Everyone's story is welcome on that platform.
Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can just say. What a powerful, powerful introduction.
Thank
Wow,
you.
there's so many things. So what I think, Maureen, I'm going to ask you to focus on as a start, then we'll see as the interview progresses. Please tell us, I am really fascinated. I want to know how this circle of comfort?
Yes, Circle of Comfort.
How did that come about? What was the vision? How did God lead you to start something like that? I'm really, really fascinated to know, because I think that is an amazing, amazing ministry.
You know what, Tsungi? There are things that we start in life. There are things that God starts and allows us to be part of the journey. I don't remember sitting down to say I want to have such a group, but the story started with my widowhood. I lost my husband to cancer in 2013. We only got to know about the cancer 4 weeks before he died. Yes, and I think for a good 7 years until COVID, I was inconsolable. Yes, and it was because mainly I did not know anyone in my neighborhood, in my church, who had lost their husband during that period. So I seemed like I was the last widow, kind of, until COVID came.
Like you were like a loner in a way.
Yes, I was a loner, and the widow became my middle name.
That's what was your identity.
That was my identity. I thought I owned it. It became my identity. But when COVID came, you know, it was so devastating. It was shocking. It was scary. It was all things. I continued preaching after, maybe I picked up preaching after I lost my husband a year later, that is 2014, because that whole year, 2013, I did not want to preach. I did not have a testimony. I didn't know how to encourage others when I was feeling discouraged myself. So for all those years before COVID, God allowed me to heal. And then when COVID came, I was in a better space.
Okay.
Yes, I could talk about the death of my husband without breaking down. And to this day, I believe that God waited for me to get to that level so that I could be sisters to those who were coming onto the platform. And then in 2020, I was asked by the headquarters of our church to do some devotionals, 31 devotionals for the month of August. They are also on YouTube. Surviving, I can't remember the title, I'll think about it. Experiencing God through the seasons of life.
So this was in the middle of
COVID.
August 2010.
Yes,
2020.
or 2020.
Okay.
Yes, so they are from 1st August to 31st August. They are on YouTube and Facebook. So I did those devotionals, but they were just 5-7 minutes. And that was the time when we were starting to use social media, doing cameras, because there was no human contact.
No,
we couldn't
there was no
gather.
human. I remember that time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a very difficult time. So our church asked me then to do those devotionals because one, I qualified to do that as an evangelist and also a widow.
Oh.
So they wanted me to reach out to those women, to people, not to women, to orphans, widows, widowers who were losing their loved ones in such a very painful way. Some could not even bury their loved ones. So we did the devotionals. This was our headquarters in South Africa.
Okay.
So our local church here also then said, can you do those same devotionals in our local language so that we can use them just to encourage?
So they wanted them translated to what, Shona and Ndebele? Or?
They wanted me to do the same, they wanted them translated in Shona.
Shona, okay.
But then it had drained me so much because it was such a journey. One, I was not used to preaching on camera or talking on camera. You know, the season was like, you know, the cameras were like someone was pointing a gun at you. It was not easy.
And that was the era of televangelism.
Yeah, exactly. But the Lord was onto something there. So bit by bit, I got comfortable before the camera. And then I said, no, I'm not going to do 31, but give me someone to interview me. I'll tell the story of my life.
Oh, I see.
I wrote a synopsis of questions, gave them, so they would ask me, and then I'll tell them what I thought could help the widows or the widowers or anyone who needed them. And just after I'd done that, that thing went viral. People started sending it to their loved ones. You are not the only one, the first one or the last one. Listen to this woman, listen to this story. Maybe it might help you. So some would send the contacts of their relatives to me. And I felt like, what do I do with these widows? I can't go to them because there is no
physical contact.
No physical contact. So I just started putting them in a group.
On WhatsApp?
On WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
I formed a WhatsApp group because every day I would receive, please talk to my sister-in-law, talk to my brother-in-law, talk to this one, because we saw your story. Can you send link of your story to this one?
I'm sure that would have become overwhelming in a way.
It was overwhelming. And you know, I prayed, I said, Lord, I can only deal with 20 people. I don't think I can do more than this, because I also don't know what to tell them. They are grieving. I don't even know them, you know, like on a personal level.
And each story is unique.
Each story is unique. And you know, what they were going through was not what I'd gone through. I'd been given an opportunity to grieve. People came and gathered around me, but these ones, they were losing their husbands or wives or whatever, children, alone. And I didn't know how to be relevant. I thought their pain was different from mine.
Yes.
But little did I know that God wanted to use me, even though my story was not exactly like theirs, but I became a rallying point.
Okay.
Yes, and people started, and then I felt like, no, I can't do this. So they got to 20, 30.
So this is the WhatsApp group.
This is the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
So I'll just send devotionals, words of encouragement. Some would ask questions, and I'll try as much as I could to answer questions, invite someone else to help me answer the questions. And then in the middle of all that, I was given a contract to do a grief and relief segment by a radio station for a year's contract. Wow. And I told them, no, I'm not a media person. I'm not trained.
They had faith in you.
They said, we saw you. Yes. They saw that 4-part story. They said, we saw you doing it, so maybe you can do it successfully. Just create your own content. Whilst I was creating content, I remember inviting 4 young widows, because I would invite different people who were grieving. Remember, there's a grief and relief segment.
Yes.
So I'd invite, if someone lost their wife, please come and let's have a conversation. How are you dealing with the loss of your wife? How are you dealing with the loss of a child? How are you dealing with the loss of this? So this was radio and it was easy. But then it was radio and TV. So I did that, and one day when I invited the 4 young widows, there was a breakdown in the studio. There was one young lady, particularly, her story is on it's on public platform, so I can mention her name.
Okay.
She's Faith. She had lost her mother and husband within a space of 3 days.
Wow.
She was young. She was 23 and was left with an 8-month-old baby.
That must have been
So
traumatic.
her aunts didn't know what to do. They knew me because of my preaching work. They brought her here home. And I looked at that girl. So when I then went to the studio, she came for the interview. I just said, in that group, remember, does anyone want to tell their story? So she turned up with 4 other young people. But when they heard her story, everyone broke down. Even the studio people also broke down. And I felt really bad. I said, I have triggered these people, so what do I do? I said, ladies, I think we've had a cry party. Can we now do live?
Yes.
So, there was no script of how to do these things. And then I said, why don't we have lunch at my house in 2 weeks?
With the 4 ladies?
With the 4 ladies.
Okay.
But we cannot, there are others on the group. Can we just invite everyone? And you can invite anyone from anywhere that you think might benefit from just coming together as widows. So they came here, that was 21. About 22 ladies turned up that
For the
first
lunch?
day for the lunch.
Wow. Good turnout.
But
Yeah.
it was not an easy day, because my car park, I would go to receive them, but the moment I go there, it's like they were coming to a funeral. So they would break down. I would break down with them, and when they saw the many others, said, you also lost a husband, you also lost a husband. And there were many COVID widows, more than some of us who had lost years before COVID. So it turned out some had lost their husbands during COVID, but actually the biggest number are the women who had lost their husbands during COVID. We did that day.
So this was only women at that stage, or was it
only
men?
women?
Okay.
It was just women, 22 of them. And from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. we're just introducing and telling our stories. We would cry with anyone who wanted to cry, and we would not stop you. If you wanted to take an hour telling your story, we felt like it was like, debriefing or something like that, where someone was unburdening.
And their opportunity to grieve properly. Yeah.
Properly. And to this day, I believe we need a stadium to bring those people. They've not been given a platform to really grieve. They have an unfinished business with grief, and I think that platform needs to be created, not by me necessarily, because the platform that I've created can only take but a few. And some shy away from such meetings because they don't know what will happen to them. They don't want to be triggered. But I think if it's an official day that has been set to say, let's come together and talk about it, how do you feel about it? People are angry, people are bleeding still. So yeah, back to my story. Then the following month, after 5, we finished at 5, from 11 a.m. to 5.
Okay.
Just the 22 of us. And my daughter cooked. My daughter is a chef, so she cooked.
She's a chef. Okay.
She's a chef. She gave us a meal, what do you call it? A comfort meal? I don't know, compassionate meal. She made a meal for the ladies.
Love. Yes.
Made with love. So after that, we then said, okay, what do we do the following month? We've done this lunch. Then what?
The follow-ups now.
The follow-ups. It was not even follow-ups. It was,
Just...
what do we need to do with this gathering? Should
Yeah.
we do a repeat? And the lady said, can we not then meet every last Sunday of the month? I said, that would be awesome. Then they said, we can also then bring others who did not get an opportunity, because we feel better already by just meeting many others who are going through the same. So the following month, we had a meeting. The number started growing, 30, 80, 200.
Every month when you met now?
Every month. And I would have the functions here at my house.
At your house.
And then when the numbers got to 600.
Wow.
On WhatsApp.
Ballooned.
But the turn-ups, people would then, the WhatsApp group started, it grew exponentially. But then the physical numbers would get to 100, 200
quite a lot.
people.
That's like a wedding.
It was a lot,
a lot.
and we didn't have a plan. Okay, what
And
do
you
we
were
do?
sponsoring this?
No, not anymore.
Not
It was a
anymore.
bring and share now.
Oh, okay.
Everyone was bringing something, and the management we said, okay, so who's going to dish out the food? We've brought food, different types of food. So what do we do?
The
We need to
logistics
create
now.
a committee. We need to
Yes,
create a
yes,
committee. We
yes,
created a functions committee, but then remember these ones that we've put in functions committee are also grieving. They want to benefit, because what we would do, would invite speakers, whether and we said, I did initially said I need the widows to be empowered financially. I remembered my journey,
Okay.
and then I said, if I think I don't want them to walk and take long where I was walking alone. Now that we are a group that is supporting each other and we're holding hands, there are some who need to be empowered financially. There are some who do not even have Christ, and therefore it deepens their pain if they don't know how to grieve properly, because they don't know where their husbands are. And then I invited one pastor to teach us on state of the dead, where are our loved ones. Do you know what prolongs grief is not knowing what's happening to your loved one. And once you know that they are in the grave, they are not suffering anymore. In as much as you are suffering, he is still on earth, but your husband is just asleep and waiting for the second coming.
So that helps with closure.
Yeah, it did in a way.
Yeah.
It was therapeutic in a way.
Okay.
And so we did that, and the numbers have been growing. Now we are 2,000 of us.
Wow, it's amazing.
So
how did you handle those who weren't sure if their husbands were saved or may not have been? Wasn't that a bit tricky?
It was tricky, but I did not try to be one-stop shop or know it all.
Yeah, all things to all men.
No.
can't
I didn't try to do that. What we did was then we invited one pastor to become a chaplain, so that people could then go to him with their questions. Or what we did would have one speaker for 7 days would give us devotionals, a series of devotionals. And if people had questions on his presentations, they go to him. They didn't need to come to me. All I was now responsible for was making sure that the whole program was running smoothly. Anyone who joins in, how do we need to handle them? Then we put them in a group called Immediate After. Immediate After is a separate group where there are people who have been alone for 20 years, and now their pain has been triggered by the pandemic itself. Yeah, so the pandemic did not only create pain for the ones who were losing their husbands then, it also triggered those memories. Yes, so it was happening too much, and and then we said, okay, ladies, we started having empowerment programs. We invited psychologists, doctors. We invited as many as we had volunteer people coming to just empower, financial, the industry, the government, anyone we could get. So I was responsible for sourcing out, and so we started having not just food, would have presentations, people come together. Even now, initially we would have like 4 presenters per day, and then we realized, no, we're not going anywhere. There's no need to pack the
just
whole
one
day,
at a time.
one speaker at a time. So these days, we're saying from 2 to 4, we know people go to church like in the morning. So from 2 to 4, those who can come earlier, they can also just connect, have testimonies of how others are doing their grief journey. And then so we have, that's where we are, and we're still having a lot more of activities that we want the Lord to bless us to be able to carry them out successfully.
And tell me about the financial help that they would get. Would they get training, or you'd refer them to, what would you do, vocational training, or was just to let them know how to budget? What kind of help did you actually give them?
Any help.
Any help that they needed?
Yes. So some of the people that we invited are people who are gurus in their own special sectors. Like, for instance, we invited a woman called Blessing Ngwenya. She's an advocate for small-scale miners. So there were some who had a mining interest, and we put them there. So she took care of them, empowered them, took them, still mentoring them. Even now, she's mentoring them, to reorienting some. Your widow is your everyday woman. If you are not involved in what your husband is doing, when he goes, you don't even know how to handle. You can be stuck. So most women were stuck. The ones, so would say those who are interested in agriculture, we invite the agricultural specialists to say, please take care of them. What would we want to do? Chickens, deal with them. Those who wanted to trade, we grouped people according to interests. and then we would find people to empower them. What we also then did to decentralize the whole thing was the clusters would also organize for whoever they want. They would identify special area needs, because these needs differ from community to community. So we didn't put a blanket to say we're doing financial. There's someone who's down there who is needing, who can do with 50 chickens, but there's someone who is up there who's got a big farm who needs 5,000.
Yes.
So we tailor made for every group, and then we put them into community clusters. What is your community? What is the language of your community on finances? Is it that you want to do crowdfunding for buying cars and houses? You want to do crowdfunding for starting chicken projects, egg projects? You want to trade? You want to border across, whatever? Because it's a non-discriminatory group. We don't class people. It's not an elite group of widows. Every widow qualifies, whatever creed, race, or whatever. We have so many women from different ethnic groups. Yes.
That's amazing, that work you're doing. Absolutely amazing. I actually know, I haven't asked for permission, so I can't mention a name. I know someone who attends those, who has benefited hugely. So thank you.
Thank
for the
you
work
so
you're
much.
doing
Thank
in the
you for
community.
feedback.
I wanted to ask about the widowers. So is Circle of Comfort right now, does it cater only for widows? Do you also cater for widowers? And what can you tell us about that? Or is there another group for that?
Initially, we tried to include them, but not in the same group.
Okay.
Because I realized it could become chaotic if we put them together.
Oh.
Yes. From our church groups, there's what we call Whisper Widows, are some such groups whereby single people are grouped together.
Okay.
Not single adults, whereby you have the divorcees, the never married, the widows, and if you put those people together, it's like trying to put different types of wheels on a vehicle. It won't move forward. A wheelbarrow, a bicycle, a tractor. Our stories are different.
No, they're different.
I realized that some divorcees wish they were widowed, then they would have closure, and then there are some widows who wish they had been divorced. At least, yes, it's the dynamics are very different, because if my husband had divorced me, he would still be available for his children. It would be a different story altogether.
And of course, there's some where it's the opposite.
Where it's the opposite. And then the divorcee says, if he was dead, I would not meet him in the streets every day and have my wound, the triggers and whatever, the emotions. Yeah, so it was difficult. We could not speak on the same level because our issues were different. They were different. So I felt like the widows should walk alone. The widow was reached out to me, or their relatives, some relatives reached out to me. I tried to form a group of widowers and tried to say, okay, here's how we're doing it as widows. Can you also then do have a program for the widowers? Just come together, it will help you heal. But men are difficult. They are different also.
They're very different.
They move on faster.
Well.
No, not even coordinators.
Not even a coordinator.
They move on faster, and they move on faster.
What you're saying is true.
The men move on faster, and actually even our society encourages them to do that. They just tell them, take your time, but move on.
But for women, you are judged when you do that.
No. As a woman, they tell you there is no longer need. Just look after your children.
What about when they grow up?
No, the society doesn't care. The society actually, yes, it's such a patriarchal society whereby a man is given, all those liberties to move on to marry. And do you know when they marry, they don't choose from the widows. They choose from the singles, they never married. Because very, very, because why they prefer that way. Apologies for those that are not thinking like that, but this is my observation. This is what I've realized, that what men do, they would rather go with a single lady who doesn't have children than to go with a widow who has 4 children, and then they, what do you call it? Family, combined family? There's a name for that.
Family.
Blended family.
Oh, it brings complications.
So there are dynamics there.
Oh, I see.
So actually, men don't want those challenges whereby a blended family, you are bringing your children and bringing mine, knowing that there's no one else. The responsibility, the financial and whatever. Then the children fighting. It's a whole mix. So men prefer something that does not. They would rather.
I would think that maybe Is that for the younger? There's the younger widowers and the older. I would have thought maybe the older ones, where maybe the children are even grown up. So there's not too much of an issue of children.
But imagine if you're
they're there.
Ayo,
So does it matter?
imagine if your children are grown up and you're done with fees, and then you marry this one who's bringing a whole new set of problems, and their children need school fees, and when
I can see
so it's not easy.
It's not easy.
But the men were not very forthcoming in trying to form their own support group. I tried to work with them because they then put me in their planning team.
Okay.
And then we said, okay, let's what can we plan? They would ask, and I tell them our group is growing and we're successful meeting every month. Some would say, can we come? I said, no, you cannot come.
They'll be a bit out of place. They'll be in the minority. Also.
Yeah, and then it causes a lot of, you don't need that. I wasn't for that, whereby I was wanting to bring them together and cause confusion. So I said the men should work alone. And if they then decide they want to mix with the widows, it's the widows. Not every widow wants to meet a man.
No, not everyone wants that.
No, and some widows have actually said they've drawn the line to say, I will not get married again ever. And if you then are going to bring those conversations, you have chased them away from the support group and you have actually caused them even more pain. So what we then did was to create a side group called Matters of the Heart. Okay. And then we invited all those widows who want to talk about love issues, love stories.
Those who are ready to move on.
Ready to move on. Because everyone is at a different stage.
And they were there, I'm sure.
They are there. It's a group. It's got more than 300.
Noble. I think it's noble.
Some just go for the conversations. They want. Our chaplain is there. He sends lessons every day. Before you move on, what are some of the things to consider? You don't have to move on. You don't have to stay on as married, yet you are already widowed. So he would bring in a lot of dynamics and lessons. Yeah.
Wow, that's so basically there's no support group at least that came from you, from the widows, because you tried. Do you think maybe it's because you know how men are always taught that you're okay, you don't need help, you don't need to cry? Is it maybe to do with the way they make up? I think so. Men in Africa, men are not supposed to cry. A man is strong. That's sad.
You can't be crying. You can't be seen crying openly. Therefore, men grieve alone. And like you were talking about, even their spirituality, many make a shipwreck of their own salvation. Because they start, some become love wreaths. They are in a relationship with that one. They don't know how to manage their emotions. And also the pressure on the men is just too much. Women throw themselves at them from all angles, not just the widows, but from all angles. So I wish they could form a support group where they could do activities and then empowerment programs, like having conversations as men on how to do it successfully, on how to move on without causing damage or losing their own children. Because in the end, what I've seen is that most widowers lose their children by wanting to move on quickly. The children are not ready. They don't prepare their children. They don't have what we are having. We distress. We go. We refresh every time we meet as widows. We have testimonies. We are empowered. We hear stories of people who've tried to marry, and you make informed decisions. So for the men, I feel sorry for them that their children are being left out. Because we have programs for the orphans. We do have programs. They are empowered.
Wow.
We last time we had Connect coming, the director of Connect coming to address the grief, Yevana, just to say your children are also grieving. They have lost a father. They can never have a replacement. You can have another husband, but your children will always be orphans. So how do they handle that? And we discovered that a lot of children were hating shame.
Because they've got questions as well.
They do have questions. They do have questions a lot.
And I thank you so much, because what you're doing, I think it takes care as well of a lot of mental health issues.
It does.
That's why I think it's a pity if the men are not involved in this, because even if on the outside you don't cry and so on, but you will still have mental health issues when you're left alone at night. But hopefully something will be birthed for them.
Loneliness is their biggest problem. That's why they end up just You know, and most of them do not, you know, they left the dating game a long time ago. Imagine if you lose your wife after 30 years,
Then you have
which
to
means you've been
learn
out of the
again.
dating game and you start, you don't know,
Things
you
have
don't even,
changed.
things have changed. And then you want to
Technology.
go with the AMA 2000, you don't even have their language.
No.
You know, so the matrix is there is, the matrix there is something else.
Even technology will have changed. I remember our days we didn't have cell phones. You just
Yeah.
had to wait for someone to
And
phone on
we
the
didn't
landline.
need to.
So things have changed so much, you know. They've changed so much.
Yeah.
Wow. So now is it just so it's in Harare and obviously in other cities, I'm sure.
It's in Harare,
And other
it's in
countries, maybe?
Blawayo,
Not
it's
yet?
in Lesotho.
Oh, Lesotho.
Lesotho, we have Cape Town, Circle of Comfort
wow.
Cape Town, Circle of Comfort Zambia, Circle of Comfort Botswana.
Botswana.
Yes, so wherever
That's amazing.
we have widows, especially Zimbabwean widows, they are the ones who then say,
Oh,
I found
I
a group,
see.
can you come and set up a group for a support group
In that country.
in that country.
Okay.
So I've gone to Cape Town,
Oh.
to Zambia, to Botswana, to Johannesburg, Lesotho. I was there last month.
And from time to time you have to go visit these.
I have to go at their
wow.
invitation. I don't.
I'm sure they invite you
Yeah.
all the time. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Maureen, thank you so much about that. That's God is doing so much. He's using you in so many ways.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you,
amazing.
Tsungi.
I also wanted to touch on these books that I'm holding. Can you tell us a little bit about both of them?
Okay.
You know, and then I will put her details at the end so that you can get hold of her, whether for the books, whether to do with her ministry for widows, and I'm sure other things that we'll discuss after the book as well, after the books.
Thank you, Tsungi. I thank God for allowing me to author these books, and I feel they are just a tool for many things. Yes, for so many things. It just, you know, when you write something, it's not very easy. It takes a lot of courage to just publish it out there to critics. There are some people who will not see the effort in there, who go like here in Zimbabwe, people will look at your English, your expressions.
And lose the essence of the
exactly. So I just pray that the nuggets in this book for marriage are things that we need to know best before an argument, best before you have quarrels on money, how to solve conflicts. And in an African, this is from an African perspective, how to do marriage. There are a whole lot of things that we can relate with when we read the book Best Before. And this book is, I thank God for it. I will edit it. Actually, I'm writing another one called The Art of Staying in Love. But then it addresses the questions and some of the areas that are a problem in most marriages. Because last year alone in Zimbabwe, we had 3,000 divorces.
In 2024?
2024.
It's shocking.
It's very shocking. So, but what people lack is information. Many people are marital illiterate. So I think if we could just normalize reading and, you know, get wisdom from those who have walked ahead of us in any journey. That's what this book is here to do, just to give you a discussion point. It doesn't have it all, but it's one of the books that one must read. Whether as a couple, people actually say to the young ones who are not yet married, one must read 10 to 15 books before they get married. Why? Because you need wisdom. You don't want to walk into something that you have not prepared for. Imagine if people go to university to study 4 years for a degree, even if we study for a driver's license, you know, the provisional, we study for it. Why do we think we can just waltz into a marriage and it will just be happiness? Marriage is a bring and share. So you get a lot of these nuggets from this book. God hates divorce, but he also puts the responsibility on the elders of every community to say, we must teach you how to stay married, how to stay in love, and how to avoid what is causing divorce, because it's the devil who hates marriage. Why? Because marriage is a vehicle for salvation, and if you are not happy at home, you are not happy anywhere. So this one, yes, so this one will help you to just navigate through marriage. One of the books that will help you. Will continue writing and advocating for marriage, because it creates a safe community.
Yeah, it does.
Do you know why we have so many cases of drug addicts? It's because people are coming from broken homes, and our children cannot deal with their father and mother not loving each other. So they want to run away, and they find comfort in things that will not make them think. And we want to try and say there is no need for you to go away. There are so many ways that we can help a relationship for people to stay afloat. And well, when I begin to talk about marriage, I'm very
I can see you're
passionate.
passionate.
I'm very passionate because you know
Yeah.
it is the base of any strong community. And even as a country, we're failing economically because people are broken. They cannot hold anything together. We spend time counseling people here. I'm training for marriage and family counseling. I'm doing a diploma in that.
Okay.
And you know, many people you hear, they are broken beyond what we can think or imagine, but God wants to repair our communities,
Restoration.
repair our
Yeah.
economies. He can only do that when marriages start to come together. And then this one is a memo kind of,
Okay.
but this is a family life book.
Okay.
It's a family life book. It's not for widows.
It's not for widows.
I need that to be very clear out there. It's not for widows.
Okay.
This is for everyone, from your youngest child who can just read up to anyone, for families. I write my story, I use my story from early childhood. So that our young people can also relate with the challenges that they also go through. I include my love life, how I started my dating life, how I met my husband, and then the life then goes, the thread singles out my marriage, when I was having children, the challenges that I had, the financial challenges as we were growing, how we grew, how we ended up here in Borodale.
Powerful.
Yes, from where we're just growing up from simple, humble backgrounds where there's no, you know, many people are where they are because they've inherited from their parents. We did not inherit
To
anything.
work for it.
We had to work. God blessed us.
Blessed you.
God blessed us. Yes, we were very young when we bought this Borodale property, and my husband had lost both parents. I was coming from a background where the biggest thing or the most expensive thing that my father ever owned was a cat, a coach cat. So we did not inherit anything, but here we are. So this is just, there are so many testimonies in this book where where we've seen the hand of mercy upon our lives, and this is one of them. So this book addresses the many facets of life that I have gone through. When my husband fell sick, that was another season. It's got so many seasons. And when my husband finally died, it's a season. And by the time my husband died, he was an executive somewhere and I was a kept woman. I didn't think I needed to worry about anything. I actually asked me to resign from employment because he said the money that you're getting is too little. I want you to look after your own children. I want you to be there. So I then divided my day. The morning was mine, afternoon was for my kids, evening was for my husband. Yes. So when I lost my husband, you know, I lost the income. So I had to come out of that state whereby I had retired and now started back on to be a breadwinner. Yes, and I didn't know where to step because the dynamics had changed around me. But still, I saw the hand of God whereby the Lord just lifted me. And to this day, I tell people I use my voice to invoice. I invoice with my voice.
I like that. My voice to invoice.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes, that's what the Lord has allowed me to do. And this has become a tool to do that. Where I speak, I also sell this book.
Sell your books.
I sell my books and I can feed my children, send them to school. They're now all grown up. When my husband died, they were young. Yes, you meet it's a very interesting book. And then there are lessons. After I write my story, there are lessons for the married, lessons for the widowed, lessons for the young who are planning to get married. What are some of the lessons that they can harvest from my own story? So it's a book for everyone.
For everybody.
And I've had so much feedback from those who who have read the book, and to date I think we have printed more than 1,000 copies.
Wow, wow,
Yes,
wow. And where
since
can we get
December.
these? Where can people buy these? Of course, we'll put details at the end, but where can they get these books?
Right now, I have someone who has said, "Can I be the sole distributor of your books?"
Oh, wow.
Yes, they've said, "I want to be sole distributor of your books," because after reading the book, he then created a video clip that he is going to use to market.
Oh, like a trailer or something.
Like
Okay.
a trailer. They are also on Take a Lot South Africa.
Okay.
And I hope they will be on Amazon, soon.
Yeah, they will.
Yes, they will be on Amazon soon.
Wow.
But you can get them from me on 078 9922179.
So
That's
we'll
my
put that
number.
number at the end as well.
Yes,
And social
that's
media handles.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Those are my
Oh, I think I want to read
contact.
this one first.
You
Sounding
need
interesting.
to
Both of them, but I think
once
this
once
one,
you
this
read
one.
this one, I bet you want another interview with me
I
because
will. We want you back. I know even today we're not going to be able to finish everything with her.
Thank
There's so
you.
much. She's a powerhouse. So much printing.
Oh,
So
thank
definitely
you.
we'll have you back.
Definitely,
But
I would love that.
and I'll be commenting because I'll have read these by then.
Thank
And your
you.
next are you taking, what do they call them? These orders? Is it back orders or what? When you want to order in advance,
Pre-order.
pre-orders, yes,
Pre-order,
yes. Well,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
you need to market your pre-order.
I need someone to market my books. I've not been able to do that. You know, once you step out in faith, God does something also, and you know He then creates systems. You know, things start responding to that, and I'm grateful. I'm actually like awake in my own dream when the other day, like I was telling you about my daughter getting married. There's someone who bought 250 books for their company on the
Wow.
same. Yeah,
That's a lot.
one order. All the books that I had were
just
sold
went.
out. They just went. And
Wow,
one
we
day
praise
I
the
was
Lord.
preaching somewhere and someone said, "I will translate your book into Portuguese. You come and launch in Mozambique and I will help you sell in Portuguese speaking countries."
Wow, like Angola and so
Angola,
forth.
yes.
Amazing.
Another one then said, "We are going to turn it into French, and you'll see what you can do
French,
with
there's
Africa."
so many countries.
Exactly.
Wow,
So I
wow.
think the Lord is more than faithful. I don't know
Amen to
what
that.
He wants to do with the book, but yeah, that's where we are right now.
Wow, we praise the Lord. This is a powerful, powerful tool. Wow, wow. So I was going to say that. So you said you have speaking engagements. I caught that somewhere. Is this like preaching? Are you also a motivational speaker, or you're both?
I'm
You're
both.
both.
I'm both.
And that's
yeah.
where you take your books when you go. Either you're
Yes,
invited by
a
churches or
bridal. I do
organizations.
bridals a lot.
Okay.
Yes, or I get invited by different churches.
Different churches.
Different
So
churches.
interdenominational, whichever.
Whichever.
Okay. So
Yes.
there you go. If you need a speaker,
So,
powerful speaker, and
so when I go, I also then take my books with me. But if anyone wants them anytime,
they can
I
send you a
always
message.
have some copies in my car, and I get into town, and wherever they are, I'm sure the marketer, the guy who's coming to do the marketing, promise that they can take the book wherever is needed.
Okay.
So that
Amazing.
takes a whole load off my shoulders.
Wow, wow. Well, Maureen, thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say. Parting ways. One thing I can see is that God has put a lot in you, but you're not idle with your gifts.
Thank you.
You're using your gifts. There's so many there. There's counseling, there's preaching, there's evangelism, there's a lot. So I think that's one thing certainly that we can see, that you ought to do something with your gifts, and you're a living example of that.
Thank you.
So well done for that. I don't know if you'd like to say anything to the audience before we close off for today.
Thank you, Tsungi. Let me just start by thanking you for creating this platform for me to also just come and share the little that the Lord has deposited into me. But I'd like to say to someone out there, whether you are grieving, because I'm passionate about widows, I want you to know that God knows what He is doing, and you can use your pain to minister to others. Actually, we have coined a saying that you heal at a deeper level when you minister to the next widow or to the next person who is also grieving. We fight fire with fire. And I would also like to tell you that God is way too wise to err. He will not allow us to suffer because He has created us to have companions, to have our loved ones. But because we are in a cruel world, things are bound to happen, but there is a hope for those who sleep in Christ, because we wouldn't want you to be ignorant that Jesus is coming soon and he will raise them to life, and we will live in a place which is explained in Revelation chapter 21, which says in that city there will be no more pain, no more death, no more suffering,
Amen.
no more separation. And that is our hope. Whilst we wait for that to happen, we continue soldiering on and we continue being encouraged. And actually, what I also think is that allowing yourself to be comforted is an act of faith. It says a lot about your relationship with God, because we grieve longer when we do not have a relationship with God. So my prayer is that may the Lord continue to comfort those who are grieving, and that you know that you are not the only one, the first one, not the last one. What is happening to you is common. So says the Apostle Paul, everyone goes through that. For as long as we are this side of heaven, we are going to continue in this warfare for our lives. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He mark you for favor and for salvation. Songi, may the Lord just bless you. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you so much, Maureen, for taking the time. We appreciate it. I
Thank you.
believe many people will be impacted, many people will be touched by the way you've allowed the Lord to use you. And may the Lord continue
Thank you.
to bless you and to
Thank
do
you.
things in you,
Thank
through
you.
you, and
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
And we will have you back. I think we will have you back maybe early next year.
Thank you.
And we
That would
can't
be
wait
awesome.
to find out what's been happening in your life and to hear about all those millions of books you'll have sold, all the translations and more. You know, God will be able to do more than you can even imagine.
Thank you. I
Immeasurably
receive.
more, like it says in Ephesians 3:20, more than what you're thinking, more than what you're asking.
Amen.
He will do
Amen.
immeasurably more,
Thank you. Thank
beyond your
you.
wildest
Thank
expectations.
you.
And
Thank
may
you.
He protect you and your children
Thank you.
and
Oh
prosper you.
wow. Oh
That's
wow.
my prayer for you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
To the audience, thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Remember what I said earlier. Remember to share so that other people can also benefit from the goodness of the Lord. I'm going to put Maureen's details and phone number where you can contact her at the end of the video. Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.